What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Bulls Latest. Your host, Matt Johnson here. Going to kick off this Tuesday show by talking about a team to watch if you're the Chicago Bulls, not only as we move into this next season, but as we approach the latter part of the season in February towards the trade deadline, and that's the LA Lakers. They should be on the Bulls' radar for a couple of reasons here. The Bulls have some pieces that, let's be honest, we don't know what the future in Chicago is looking like for them, and Nikola Vucevic and Ayo Dosunmu, among some others here. The Lakers have shown an increased willingness to scour the trade market recently as they look to bolster their roster around Luka Doncic. That's been a given. They have shown a lot of interest in some other key names there. Andrew Wiggins of the Miami Heat was mentioned as a potential target for them, as the Lakers reportedly want a two-way asset at the wing there. For Ayo Dosunmu, I talked about it a while back in this show, but he is kind of a target that makes a ton of sense for the Lakers. He may not be your traditional wing that the Lakers are looking for, but we know he provides good versatility and a complementary two-way skill set. He's also a whole lot cheaper and younger than Andrew Wiggins, who has I think a $30+ million player option for the 2026-27 season. That's another plus if you're kind of looking at Ayo versus Wiggins there if you're the Lakers. The Bulls have to consider making some moves ahead of the deadline. That's a given. I think they're going to be hovering around the 500 mark. Their win total set at 32.5, which I talked about a while ago. Kind of, points that out in the terms of the Bulls aren't expected to be one of the top teams in the East this coming season. And the Lakers would sure sound like a team that is willing to do business. So, you look at some of the other players on this Bulls roster as well. You have to wonder if someone like Kevin Huerter could quickly become of interest to the Lakers as well. The veteran may not be the defender they covet, but he held his own in his minutes with Chicago last season and returned to form as a knockdown shooter there. And a lot of Bulls fans were pleasantly surprised by his oncoming impact for the Bulls after that Levine trade. So he surely feels like the kind of off-ball shot maker that could make a lot of sense to a high-usage ball handler like Luka Doncic here, just looking at more of the basketball verbiage there. Even the Lakers, could look at a guy like Zach Collins. He could be a solid fit for what they're trying to do. He would provide more floor spacing than what they would get from DeAndre Ayton moving into this next season. So, I do recognize the Lakers are not overflowing with valuable trade assets. I know a lot of Bulls fans will probably be quick to go there. But what they do have could be good enough for the Bulls' expiring players. You could do a lot worse than a lightly protected 2031 first-round pick. So I also think the Bulls would have to consider someone like Dalton Knecht if they really want to push their chips into a team like the Lakers. Dalton Knecht would be a good piece in return. I don't know if Dalton Knecht is someone who is going to be with the Lakers long-term. They certainly like him. I know J.J. Redick's a big fan of his, and he is a good young player, but the Lakers are kind of veteran-based, and who knows what direction they're going to head, especially with Kobe White's future up in the air. I think Dalton Knecht makes a lot of sense. So kind of switching gears here, the Chicago Bears, man, what a heartbreaking game last night. The home opener, the season opener, Monday Night Football against the Vikings. I was in the house. Very tough game to swallow if you're a Bears fan. It was cool, though, to see. I saw on Kobe White's Instagram story there were a number of Bulls players in attendance last night for that matchup against the Vikings. I saw Jalen Smith, Julian Phillips, Yuki Kawamura was there. You had Isaac Okoro and Noah Thenge. Kobe White, obviously, posting the story. Dalen Terry and Lachlan Ulbrich were there as well. And then Ayo Dosunmu, Modest Buzelis, and Kevin Huerter were all there in that photo. So they got to enjoy a beautiful night in Chicago last night. What an atmosphere inside Soldier Field. It's cool to see, though. It's great, just them being together just under 3 weeks remaining until the preseason kicking off. Training camp is vastly approaching here. So, they don't have to be together necessarily at this moment in time, but they chose to spend some time together. It's cool to see. They also, obviously Billy Donovan going into the Hall of Fame recently, they were there to support him as well. So that was a very cool sign if you're a Bulls fan looking to see how this team is gelling ahead of this this season coming up with a very young team. So Just a quick thing there. I kind of wanted to talk about a roster ad, and this is significant because it's the final training camp addition to their roster. The Bulls are allowed to go into training camp with 21 rostered players, including their 15 standard and 3 two-way spots, leaving 3 more openings for whoever else they want to bring in. The Bulls have already signed Wooga Poplar and Caleb Grill to Exhibit 10 deals. Those are 2 guys I talked about numerous times in the Bulls Summer League slate. Both had flashes. Wooga Poplar and Caleb Grill both showed things at times. So them getting that deal to join the Bulls for training camp is a good one, I think, for them and their futures. The Bulls have reportedly signed Muhammad Gee to an Exhibit 10 deal. This is the final addition to the Chicago Bulls training camp and preseason roster here. Gee, at 27 years old, has been in the NBA system for the last 3 years, primarily playing in the G League, but also got some run with the Toronto Raptors, in which he showed some flashes there. His numbers weren't great in the 2023-24 season. Gee made 11 appearances for the Raptors, averaging 2.4 rebounds to go along with 2.4 points a game to go along with 2.1 rebounds and 1.6 blocks in just under 11 minutes per game. So the numbers weren't great and flashy, but he definitely has the skill set necessary to make an impact at the NBA level, I think. I just think at 6'9", this forward has gotten very little opportunity at the next level, but he certainly has some potential. I think Gee's best G League season came in 2023-24 when he was playing for the Raptors, 905 squad through 26 starts that year. Gee averaged 13.8 points a game to go along with 8.1 rebounds a game and 1.5 assists a game, also adding 2.3 blocks per game. He shot 54.3% from the field. Gee has also spent time with the Dallas Mavericks and the Washington Wizards G League affiliates as well. So this guy has some G League experience that could be worthwhile to giving himself a decent shot at a rebuilding Bulls team moving forward here. So we'll see what happens. But Muhammad Gee, the final addition before training camp kicks off here for the Bulls, that is something noteworthy. You're going to want to keep an eye out for that name as the preseason rolls around here. So kind of finalizing the show today with some NBA news. Spurs rookie guard Dylan Harper had surgery the other day to repair a partially torn collateral ligament in his left thumb, an injury that he suffered in a preseason workout. So not what you want to see if you're the San Antonio Spurs. He is a promising young rookie, a very solid player, taken at the highest part of the draft there, way up the board. By opting to have surgery quicker, Harper might be ready for the start of the regular season. I think that's what he's doing the surgery so quickly for, is in hopes that he could be ready by late October. Some more tragic news here. This hit the news scene, and it was kind of took people by surprise here. It was a very sad moment for T-Wolves player Naz Reid, but his sister was fatally shot at a New Jersey apartment complex this past weekend. Authorities saying her boyfriend had been charged with murder. A very tragic thing. You never want to see news like this come up, but it is widely seen in the news now, and I wanted to get this out to you guys. Happened a couple days ago. So thoughts and prayers with Naz Reid and his family and Timberwolves Nation there. That's a very hard thing to embark on and to deal with as the NBA season is right around the corner. So thoughts and prayers with him there. Finishing up this segment of the show and today's show, I wanted to rank 14 newcomers to new teams for you guys, in which I think in the order from 1 to 14 could be the most impactful for the organizations and the most exciting. Number 1, obviously, I got to throw Kevin Durant up there with the Houston Rockets. I honestly think the Houston Rockets are very live to make a run to win an NBA title this year. The Oklahoma City Thunder are still going to be a monster. They're going to be a force for years to come, but the Rockets and them are going to kind of, duel it out in a lot of great matchups in the coming years, I think. And KD and Houston and that young Houston team still, and that core is a very, very dangerous bunch. I think that the Houston Rockets are very live to win it all. I think KD is going to be a big part of doing that and helping them kind of get to that championship. So following him up, I had Desmond Bane going to the Orlando Magic in that massive blockbuster trade towards the beginning of the offseason. I think the Magic, that's also my pick out of the Eastern Conference this coming year. I think the Orlando Magic are very, very solid and a good team and a good bet to win the Eastern Conference. I think what they did this past season, kind of jumping onto the postseason scene, you got Paolo Banchero, Desmond Bane now. I mean, there is so much talent with that Orlando Magic roster. I just don't see how they don't jump towards the top of the East and make a run at getting to the finals there. At number 3, I threw Cam Johnson in there. I talked about that trade a while back, but that was a massive deal for a very good Denver team already. So they get the help that they so desire there in Cam Johnson. I think he will flourish there in that Denver system. I think that is a very solid move for them, and Denver is going to be one of the top teams in the Western Conference once again here. At 4 coming in, I have Mike Brown, the New York Knicks head coach, the new New York Knicks head coach, I should say. I think that team is still going to kind of challenge the Orlando Magic at the top of the Eastern Conference this coming season. I think Mike Brown is a very solid individual for that team in specific, for a lot of those veterans, and Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson and Bridges there. I think that Mike Brown is what they need to kind of get over the hump. I mean, Tibbs was great. I talked about him a lot. Former Chicago Bulls head coach, had a lot of great regular seasons here, some playoff runs as well, but just can't get over the hump. And I think Mike Brown could be the guy to push that Knicks team over the hump. At 5, I have DeAndre Ayton coming in. Now, I talked about, obviously, just a little bit ago here in this show, what the Lakers could be looking to do with Chicago potentially moving towards the deadline. DeAndre Ayton, though, is a good add. I think he's going to provide what the Lakers were missing a year ago, and that's a rim presence, a big guy to score the basketball as well. I think Ayton will do that for them. Miles Turner coming in at 6. I think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to be a perennial team in the Eastern Conference this coming year. Miles Turner shook a lot of things up and turned a lot of heads going from Indiana to Milwaukee there. Was not expected at all. I know I talked about a long time ago how Indiana was very spited by his move over there. Didn't feel right, didn't sit right with them, that he just kind of left them to out to dry with Tyrese Haliburton recovering from that injury suffered in the NBA Finals. So I think he's going to be an impact player. At 7, I threw Kristaps Porzingis in there. Atlanta's an interesting squad. If you guys remember, I talked about them as being a potential contender to win the Eastern Conference as well. They have the pieces. They have the talent. This is also a team, though, it's kind of one of those things where if things don't shake right for them, they could definitely be sellers. This thing could blow up quickly, but Kristaps Porzingis is a very solid player still in his NBA career. I think he is going to be a very impactful guy for that Atlanta bunch, and they will definitely win ball games if he is on the floor there. At 8, I have the rookie sensation Cooper Flagg coming in. The Dallas Mavericks are going to need him to produce in a big way. A lot of expectations for this kid. I mean, more than any expectations I can remember from any rookie in the NBA, dating back to, I don't know, some of those players back. I mean, Derrick Rose had a lot of expectations coming into Chicago, but Cooper Flagg is kind of he's a rock star already, so we'll see what happens there. A lot of pressure on the kid, but, with Anthony Davis and then Kyrie Irving eventually coming back, that Dallas team could be a fun bunch. At 9, I got Norman Powell coming in. The Miami Heat are going to be a contender. I always think that they are a threat in the Eastern Conference, especially a weaker Eastern Conference this coming season. I think that's an awesome addition for Eric Spoelstra and that group. Always on their toes, looking to add talent and restructure their lineups with some guys that could really help them win ball games. I think Norman Powell is the latest addition to that. He's been a very successful player for some time here. Jalen Green in Phoenix coming in at number 10. That move to Phoenix was a big one, obviously, in the Kevin Durant trade. But Jalen Green is going to be a fixture with the Phoenix Suns for years to come here. He's going to have a lot of expectations to fill the shoes of the guy who will always kind of be remembered in that Kevin Durant trade. Now, Kevin Durant didn't have the best years in Phoenix, but it's still a mega superstar. So Jalen Green's going to have some some high aspirations there to want to produce for that organization, and a young one at that. Ty Jerome coming in at 11 with the Memphis Grizzlies. I think that was a solid add for a Memphis Grizzlies team who could be on the brink of a rebuild. We don't know, but that guy will give you valuable minutes. Bradley Beal and the Clippers. The Clippers are another team who just continue to add veteran talent there, going along the lines of the James Harden move and stuff like that. I just think that Bradley Beal offers some intrigue there with the bunch and Ty Lue in that group. That he could be exciting. Hopefully, he finds that newfound energy again to produce for an organization. There's some dud years there in Phoenix, so hopefully Bradley Beal comes back and produces for that Clippers organization. Dylan Harper, obviously, I talked about the surgery he just had, but this is a very big-time player for the San Antonio Spurs. If he comes out and he produces alongside Wembanyama, I think Victor Wembanyama is going to be a massive jump into this upcoming year in his play. So if Dylan Harper can produce as well, that's going to be a really fun squad to watch there. And then finally, rounding out the list in the 14 that I listed for you guys, VJ Edgecombe of the Sixers. Obviously, a very solid summer league performance for him. This player has all the goods to be an NBA superstar. The Sixers are certainly hoping that he turns out to be just that. I think there's going to be a lot on his shoulders in that Philly market. A lot of pressure. It'll certainly be interesting to see how he handles that. But I think VJ Edgecombe's a baller. I think he's going to take that with open arms and really thrive on it and the pressure in a market like that. So rounding out that list of 14, let me know what you guys think in the comments of those 14 guys. Would you shape it any differently? Do you have any other names you would throw in there? As always, though, I want to thank you guys for joining me in another episode of Bulls Latest. Hit that like and subscribe button. It goes a long way for the channel. And we will see you guys tomorrow.